Three times. Four times. Doing gang things. Living super clean. That done came up. Can't control us. One time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control us. One time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control us. Look at you done came up now. Get it how you live, mess the game up now. Ain't messing with yoga, but get the flame up. Hey, used to be Toby, but got your name back now. I see ya, paid under pressure. 25 lighters got them all on the dresser. If it ain't for you, ain't for you then. If you a lame or a sucker, wanna dress you then. Grown up now, bump the childish ways. Got a wife and a bunch of kids to raise. Punch a clock side hustle or a business you endure to ensure that all the bills is paid. Slow clap for your homeboy. Could've turned out like your homeboy. Being on the same block, cooking up the same rock on the cell block lock with your homeboy. But no, you had vision, you had goal. Brand new you on the old time road. Take care of home where you bust your low. Black men don't teach, screaming bunty hoe. Real men talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom, boy, you PD grade. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. One time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that done came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the folk that have moved up. Even if you had the slow start screwed up. Used to gang bang, now homie brewed up. Had a little plan, I had them blew up. Look at you like a man right now. Dressed to the T, smelling like a grand right now. And you ain't got nothing from a handout now. Just faith and hard work gets it planned out now. You could've took a bunch of dusty rolls. The hand dealt with a bunch of cards to fold. To stay hot while the world is freezing cold. The same plot, but the story's never old. Slow clap for your kinfolk. Could've been asking what your info. Prosecutor could be trying to do you in for the 2020 twins, so you passing out the info. But no, you had purpose, you had plans. I ain't doing nothing, I'ma say these bands won't impress y'all, don't need no fans. That ain't my God, who is that man? This real men talk, real king ways. Still in captivity, but minds ain't slave. Got a little wisdom while you peep these grades. Giving out the knowledge on the stoop these days. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. Yeah, real man. Sheesh. Yeah, doing cane things. Living super clean. Daddy came up.
1 time for my king doing king things. On these hoes, cause you know he got a good thing. I submit and I cook and I clean and I never hold back on that pop. I'ma let it rain. Made me honest, I got a ring. All praises to the most high, let it sing. A real man, able, sister never came. And I ain't going nowhere, this is not a game. Look at you, girl, you're lonely right now. Settling for bums instead of men the most high. He provide and protect, so he get our respect. And he leading us aboard when them chariots fly. I don't really think you hear me though. You can't cross this bridge on some billy goats. Let them save you in the end like a Seminole. BS help me, shout it, let the silly go.
1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up. 1 time for the men doing cane thing. Dead Fred to the T, living super clean. 3 times for my folk that came up. 4 times cause the man can't control up.
Shalom and shalom, sisters and cousins, and praise the Lord, saints. It's your favorite housewife, Miss Mono. Good evening, good Thursday evening to everyone. Thank you all so much for being here with me. I know you could be anywhere on the worldwide internet, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that so much. Okay, did somebody tear up my personal phone? Y'all, I'm telling you, listen, the need for fans gets realer as you get older. All right. So, this Thursday, we have a few things we're going to talk about, okay? I posted a topic on my Facebook a couple hours ago, actually, about it really in the larger part. Let me get through my stuff and then we get to the conversation because it's something that I really want to talk about. But just in case you are not familiar with this face on your screen, please allow me to introduce myself. I go by at Miss Mono's World in these content creator streets, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Let me get my chair up here because I like to be tall. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the places where the content creators be. You can find me. If you are not on the YouTube at Monologue with Gab, please head over to the YouTube. MONOLOGMAGAD. Please like, share, subscribe wherever you are. If you're on Facebook, like, share. If you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I don't even have my phone going. Y'all, my husband is on his way home. He had to take a trip for a really big client of ours, needed some stuff delivered. So he had to take that trip. That is where he is now. And y'all know he usually be in here helping me get ready and helping me set everything up, but I had to do it by myself today, y'all. You know, like he preset me up, but you know how it is, like when it's time to do the actual thing and you need the stuff set up. Yeah, so I miss him so much, y'all. Shout out to the hardest working husband that I know. Hold on a second, you guys. Let me, like I said, I'm in here by myself. All right, how y'all enjoying the heat? How are you all enjoying this heat? I'm not complaining. This is not me complaining. I love the summer. I much prefer to be hot than cold. I would much rather be trying to cool off than to warm up because at least if I'm hot, I can move and do things. When I'm cold, I can't do nothing. Like my body does not cooperate. None of that. So all praises for the summertime. I don't care what y'all. All right, so let's see. We went through the YouTube, all that good stuff. Introduced myself. Okay, so let me pull up this video. Okay, TikTok.com. We're gonna pull up this video. It's a few topics I want to discuss with y'all. The first one, we're going to be talking about educating our children. And it's more of a homeschooling versus unschooling conversation. And for those of y'all who are not familiar with what unschooling is, I'm about to explain it to you as soon as I find this video. I was sure I had saved this video. Maybe I didn't. Perhaps I did not. Okay. That's why I hate when I don't favorite videos because then I go back trying to look for them and it's crazy. Okay, here we go. I found it. Okay. All right, let's watch this video real quick. And then we're going to talk about it. Let me pull it up for you. Okay. All right.
Know how to read up to grade level, right? So for one, we homeschool and we don't have grades. We do not go by the grade level system that was created by who knows who, according to who knows what. I don't know. But studies show that children will naturally learn how to read around the age of 8 and 10. Oh my God. That's so late, right? It's not. When you really think about it, it really makes no difference as to what age your child learns how to read, especially when they're learning how to read from a space of independence and curiosity and a self-driven need to know how to read. Because at that point, there's no need for force. There's no need for coercion or manipulation to get the child to read. You don't don't even need to teach them. My children are self-taught. Everything that they know, they have taught themselves, with me as their guidance. We don't use workbooks. We don't use any type of curriculum. We don't do any of that. We learn through life. We are unschoolers. That's what unschooling is. Why doesn't my...
Okay. So, all right. So, shalom, shalom and shalom, Angelina. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. So, yeah, let's talk about this homeschooling versus unschooling thing. Okay. As you know, we are homeschoolers. I teach my kids at home to educate them. It's a choice that we have made because we don't want our children being miseducated. We don't want them being taught the wrong things and then having to come along later in life, like with so many of us. And now you have to tear down everything they learned and try to build them back up. I'd rather build them up the first way. I'd rather build them up right the first time. So we don't have to come back and do this again. So they're not having to relearn fundamental principles in their adulthood. Okay. So in the course of our homeschooling, different things have occurred where it made me realize the need for the structured education that the system provides. And I know, we're all trying to get out the system. We're all trying to, escape the matrix. I get that. I really do. But me personally, and again, please, this is not a personal attack on anyone. Whatever you choose to do with your children is on you. This is just more a conversation for us to kind of think about this, think about what we're doing, and let's just be making conscious decisions. Okay, so yes, we are trying to escape the matrix. We're trying to get out of the system. But the fact of the matter is, we're stuck in here. We're stuck in here. Unless this economy totally collapses in on itself and everything starts all over again. I don't know how many of you guys watch the Flintstones or if you've ever seen the Flintstones, but the backstory to the Flintstones is there's been a nuclear war and we're sent back to prehistoric times. We lose all our technology. So unless something like that happens again, in order for your child to be successful in this world, they are going to have to cooperate with some elements of this system. Okay. Uncle Man, shalom and shalom. Thank you for joining me. All right. Your child is going to have to cooperate with some elements of this system. For example, our sons were taking boxing class and they were doing a movement and the boxing instructor was telling them to move like you would write a 3. So, when you write a 3, you start at the top of the paper and then you make your little loop and then you come down to the bottom of the paper. Well, me at the time, I was thinking that it was just important for them to know how to write a 3, not the steps to write a 3. You understand what I'm saying? Like, as long as you can write a figure that looks like a 3, my thinking at the time was that should be good enough. Okay, but then you get in these group settings where everyone has learned how to do something a particular way, and your child is the only one that doesn't know how to do that thing that way. And for me, I was hurt for my children. I don't like to be embarrassed. I don't like to feel ostracized. I don't like to feel singled out. So why would I put that burden on my children, especially when it comes to something so elementary as reading and writing? Okay. I want my kids to participate in STEM activities and STEAM activities, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So we would go to different groups and we're going to different outings. And I was always nervous because it's like, are my kids up to level with the other kids their age? When you think about your life as an adult, okay, even if you are a business owner, all right, there are just certain things that you have to be in the habit of, that you have to learn while you're young. You don't believe me? Take a look at some of the people around you. Take a look at a person who has a strong work ethic, and then take a look at a person that you know that does not have a strong work ethic. You could tell this person be to work at 12 noon, but if they don't have that work ethic instilled in them, they're going to be late every time. You can tell them do step 1, 2, and 3. If they don't have any work ethic instilled in them, by the time they're finished with step 1, they're too tired to do step 2 and 3. They need a break. I believe we see this a lot with employers complaining about millennials and their sense of entitlement. That in itself shows you what happens when people do not cooperate with the system. And I know, like, what do you mean cooperate with the system? But at the end of the day, I don't want my children to be forced to think of ways to make an income. And now hear me, we are raising our children to be business owners. We are working these businesses. They see us day in and day out. Our prayer is Most High willing that they will continue these businesses. Okay, and cool. Yes, they'll have income for the rest of their life. All praises. But what if they want to do something else? My sons see their older sisters graduating from college. Now they have an interest in higher education. I'm not going to stop them from doing that. While we have our thoughts about college and it's a scam, and yes, it is all of that. But if my child wants to study insects, I want him to be able to study those insects. If my child wants to be a doctor, I want him to be able to do that. If my child wants to be an accountant, I want my kids to be able to do whatever they want to do in life. If they want to hire someone to run our businesses while they go and pursue their interests, that's the life I want for them. I want my child to have as many options as possible. But if you're not teaching them how to make their way within this system, they're not going to have options at all. They're going to be the angry person at the McDonald's counter that people are telling, well, you should have got a better job. Why are you sitting here flipping burgers? And I know I'm not supposed to say this, but listen. The lady in the video said, oh, studies show that kids teach themselves how to read by 8 to 10. But you will pull up these same studies that will show you that if a child cannot read by the age of 8 or 10, they are most likely destined for prison. And let's just keep it funky. As Black children, especially me raising 2 Black boys, I'm not leaving anything that I can help my children with to chance. I'm not leaving anything that I can help them with to chance. I know that I can teach my children how to read. I know that they need to know how to read out here. I'm not going to leave that to chance. I'm going to do the best that I can. And I don't want to call parents lazy, but I see a lot of, I'm definitely not going to push them toward college. I know husband. I'm not saying to push them towards it. What I'm saying is they need to have the options. That's all I want. I want them to have options. And if we don't teach them how to read, they do not have these options. Listen, you may feel like your child knows how to read. So like Atticus reads fluently, he reads. But when it comes down to spelling the words, he's not always sure how to spell them. And so what I'm saying is a child can very much know how to look at a piece of paper and say the words that are on the paper. But if they don't know how to spell these words, if they don't know how these words mean, if they don't even understand how to start learning how to read, then all they're doing is looking at a paper and repeating the words that are on it. And that is what has so many of us in the state of confusion that we feel like we're in now. That is what has so many of us angry, feeling like the education system failed us and they didn't teach us anything. And I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm not saying that that's not true, but it takes a concerted effort. And I think that's what a lot of us are realizing now as we're coming off the end of the pandemic and kids are either virtual school, homeschool, in-person school. There's so much talk about the gap in skills from before the pandemic to after the pandemic. And so what you see now is an uptick in homeschooling, which is great. All praises to the Most High. I love that we are taking charge of our children's education, but it scares me to see how many people are unschooling and letting life school their children. There are certain things that you just have to understand. I don't definitely got to teach them how to read. That is like the most basic fundamental skill. You can't even buy food if you don't know how to read. You don't know what you're looking at. I don't know if you have ever been around a person that you can tell cannot read as fluently as you. And if you see how it affects them, how bad it makes them feel, why would you want to put your child in a position to feel less than? And I get that we can't help everything in life, but you can teach your child how to read. You can introduce your kids to letters and numbers at an early age. From the time my kids was born, my husband started playing the fun with learning videos. Yeah, that's the channel. I believe it's called Fun with Learning. And they would teach them their ABCs and the sounds. Not just the letters, but the phonic sounds. And then they started listening to how to blend words. They're listening to this stuff when they're a baby. And I'm going to tell you, it makes a difference, because I really did not have that much trouble when it came to blending, learning how to read and stuff like that. Now, I will tell you this, okay? My 9-year-old, Paxton just turned 9. My 9-year-old, he can read, but he's more bashful when he reads. I got to coax it out of him because he'll just mumble the words. So I was talking to his older sister about this, and they play video games together. And she was like, Mom, Paxton is fooling you. I was like, what you mean? She said, when we be playing Spider-Man, they have 2 and 3 paragraph sentences, and he reads those sentences quickly and out loud. So yes, when they have this self-interest, they are propelled to read. But if he didn't know how to read in the first place, sitting him in front of a video game is not going to teach him how to read. He's just going to figure out, if I do this, then this happens. It's not going to teach him how to read. Things like counting money, transactions at the bank, even getting online and doing things, all require a person to know how to read. Not only that, I felt a strong need for structure in our children's life. Okay. I grew up a military child, and my schedule was pretty much the same until I graduated from high school. You get up for school about 6:30. You start getting ready for school. You go to school. You come home. You do your home. It was the same schedule all throughout my academic years. And so when it's time for me to start working a job, I'm already on this schedule of waking up at 6:30, getting myself together, going to do what I got to do, coming home, da-da-da-da-da. Like, you're already in this routine. And I understand how it may look oppressive to some, but what we also have to understand is that it is still necessary. Like, yes, we own our own businesses, but my husband still has to have the self-discipline to get up every morning and work. He don't punch in for nobody. There's no supervisor waiting at the office for him. Ain't no manager waiting for him. He is the owner, the supervisor, and the manager. So if he don't get up and do the work doesn't get done. And then boo-hoo for owning your own business. You don't have the ethic or the structure to work that business. So we started using a virtual public charter school. It's called Georgia Connections. They have a few in a few other states if you want to Google it. But it's at home, it's still at home. So I'm still in charge of their learning. I get the material first. It filters through me. And then I decide how to present it. Okay? But I need them to have that structure. I need them to have that, okay, I wake up at this time. We do this at this time. We do that at that time. And then however their life leads them, okay, fine, adjust to that. But if you never are taught the structure in the first place, then what happens? Okay. And something else I've had to think about as well, like, Yahweh forbid something happens to our family, something happens to me, and I'm not able to give them that one-on-one attention that they need. They still need to know how to go out here and cooperate with a community of whether they're being educated there, whether they're working there, whatever. They need to know how to go out here and to be a good citizen of the community that they live in. If I have not taught them any structure or work ethic, then they're not going to know that. And I'm not saying structure and work ethic can't be taught. Now, let me say this. I had to realize my limits when it came to teaching my children. Okay. Look, I don't have it. I don't have it. Teaching kids is a gift. I will admit that hands down. To be able to teach children effectively is a gift. Okay. Now, I also understand that the school system has a set curriculum. Okay. Again, I've always wanted my kids to have options. It was never my intention to homeschool them and then have them just figure life out. No. Okay. I'll homeschool you. And then you can get your high school diploma and then you can decide what you want to do from there. Again, it's all about choices and options. And then here's another thing that we will look at athletes and marvel at athletes. Like that 16-year-old, Quincy something, I don't remember his last name, but who was medaling at the Olympics in track and field, and he's only 16. You know how long that boy been running? Every day. The people that you look at and you marvel at their skill and at their talent, it's because they've been studying it for a long time. So now imagine there are kids out there who are learning how to read at 2 and 3, and your child is just now starting to figure out how to read at 8 and 10. Do you know how much more that other child has learned? And okay, Quincy Wilson. Thank you. Nisaya, Shalom, and Shalom. I thought it was Quincy Wilson, but I wasn't sure. Do you know how much that other child has learned? And I know we feel like, listen, there's nothing new under the sun, and some things just don't change. The fact of the matter is, in order to have any decent kind of life in this system, you need to learn how to function in it. Even when it gets down to the most simplest task of counting money, if you don't know your place values, if you don't know how to add, subtract, and multiply, if you don't know how to line up your decimals, which are all things that you learn in school, then how are you going to operate financially? So it's just something I want us to think about, especially us as Israelite people. You understand what I'm saying? Whether you consider yourself Black or Israelite, whatever, we cannot afford to have our children out here so far behind the goalpost. We can't have our kids, we cannot be putting our kids purposely behind everyone else. We cannot. We're already behind everyone else. Financially, we're already behind everyone else. It's one thing if a person chooses to go work at McDonald's because, I'm bored with this. And you know what I'm saying? I just want something to do. It like I don't know why, but for like 2 weeks, Atticus was pretending he worked at Burger King. I don't know why. Okay. No, I don't want my child to work at Burger King. But if he get bored and decide, hey, I want to go do this, then I want him to be able to do that. But if I don't teach him anything, if I haven't taught him how to read, if I haven't taught him how to operate in society, then he has no choices and he has to do nothing. And then you wonder why people resort to a life of crime. It's because they have no choices. You can't sit up here and complain about Black children when you're not educating yours, when you're not providing them with another avenue. Again, it's not about you. You have to think about when your child is 20, 30, 40, and 50, have you equipped them to be able to handle the situations that life is going to throw on them? Forget situations that life is going to throw on them. Have you equipped them to be able to provide for themselves in a decent manner? In a manner that you would be proud of? I mean, come on. Come on, y'all know how y'all treat y'all kids. Oh, this one does this and this one does that and da 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 da. And you want to be able to be proud of your kids, right? But you not teaching them how to read and then sending them out to the world. And then when your child is frustrated and broke and can't figure out how to, you want to look at them like they crazy, when the fact of the matter is you never equipped them for the real world in the first place. And that is ultimately what it's all about. Yes, teach them the truth. Teach them the truth first. Teach them the Bible first. Teach them the truth of who they are first. And now when it's time to conform, that's what it is. It is a conformity to what the system requires for you to be able to make a living in it. You'll know what is real and what is not. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And look, I just want the best for all of them. I don't want any of them to get out here and struggle. I don't. I learned a long time ago. Listen, not being able to pay your bills is like the worst feeling ever. It's the worst feeling ever. Okay, you know your child is not going to stay single for the rest of their life. You know they're going to go out here and they're going to make other children. Hopefully they'll get married first. They'll have a stable home and they'll make other children, and they're going to be able to need to provide for that family. Even if they are living on your property, because that's our goal. Our goal is to have a family compound and houses, and we can all live in this plot of land. Still got bills. You still got to pay for them lights and the water and stuff. There's going to be something that you're going to have to pay for. So let's equip them to be able to do those things, is all I'm saying. Okay? Like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live here at the House of Mono. All right, so for my next topic, I wasn't going to talk about this because I was like, that's kind of silly. But I was scrolling YouTube, I was on YouTube and someone had did a whole essay, a whole video essay about this. So I wanted to talk to y'all about it. Is it this low? I don't think it's down that low. And I thought I did make that one a favorite, but I guess I did not. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Y'all heard about Jordan Childs? Oh my gosh, the judge. So today they said that the judge that ruled to give her medal to the Romanian girl, that judge works for the Romanians. Like, he's been doing legal counsel for them for years or whatever. It's crazy. Like, no, just when you think, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I don't see it anymore. Sorry, you guys. But there is a video going around on TikTok, and the guy is asking, it's a man asking other men. I really want y'all to see this. Hold on. Mentions. Okay, maybe it's under here. Aha, here it is. Okay. All right. Here it is. We're gonna watch this video and then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay. Okay. Hold on.
Wife was having a baby. Who are you gonna go see?
My homeboy. First of all, to my wife, she will understand that my homeboy is my brother. If he's shot, that almost like a death in the family. Yes, I celebrate my life with my child, but she understands that if my homeboy about to die, that's somewhere I need to be too. And my child, listen, I know my homeboy. My homeboy would take my child if I die.
I'ma have to go see my wife, bro. That's kid. I can't build those type of moments. No funny. Like, I never had a father, so it's like, I'm not gonna do that to my child, because then they can use it against me. My wife can use that against me. That might not even be my man no more, so you never know. And if he got shot, that means he shouldn't be in. If my boy a real nigga, he'll understand I'ma have to be there for my kid. I can see him after. I mean, if he died, rest in peace his soul. But as a record, he know I'd be there for my kid. Because I hope he would do the shit if I got shot. If he would have came to me and his having a baby, he told us, get the fuck out of here.
Man, fuck that. She gonna have a baby regardless. I'm gonna go see my man before he dies.
See my man. I'm gonna go see my man because my wife getting pregnant. So I mean, she's creating life. I gotta make sure my man good. He don't die.
Okay. It gets worse every time. Like every time I watch it, I find something else to be disgusted about. Okay. So apparently there's a phenomenon going around of the homosexual. Listen to what I said. Homie is in your homie, sexual. It's now one word, okay? And if you're like me, you're probably figuring out, like, what the heck are y'all even talking about? Where did this even come from? This is not saying that men can't have friends. Let me explain where I'm coming from with this. No one's saying that men can't have friends. You're supposed to have friends. You're supposed to have platonic relationships with people of the same sex, you know, who you have things in common with, and you guys like to hang out and you guys enjoy each other. Like, you're supposed to have this, okay? But what apparently is happening lately, according to this video, is that men are placing they homies, they friends, they mans, they boys, whatever, in front of their own family. You heard what the man asked. Your wife is having your child, and your man got shot. What you gonna do? And it was 4 of them. Out of 4 men, only one of them said, "Oh, I'm going to be with my wife. I'm going to be with my child." Only one of them said that. And let me just say this to y'all who may be out here dating. You may still be choosing. You may still be trying to figure out, you know, what direction you want to go in or whatever. That kind of behavior shows up when you're dating. That's not something that you have to wait until you're married to discover about a person. No, that kind of behavior is going to show up when you're dating. He's always going to be putting his friends in front of you. And hear me again, you know, I know that we like to say, well, women do this all the time and girls do that all the time. I'm not here to help you with dating women, so I have nothing to say about that, okay? What I am going to say, though, is if you find yourself doing this, ma'am, sis, cousin, I implore you to take a deeper look at your real wants and desires. Now, and see, the problem is we live in such a, this is a little sidebar. The problem is we live in such a female relationship driven society that women for a long time have actually been taught to put their friends before their husbands, before their children, and before their boyfriends. And the reason why I'm mentioning boyfriends is because, like I've said before, there comes a certain time in your life where marriage has to be the goal. Like, this is what we're focusing on. We're focusing on getting married. And that requires dating and getting to know someone of the opposite sex. Okay? So same thing I'm saying about the men. Sisters, y'all got to pay attention and make sure that you're not guilty of this as well. You can't hear me? Oh, no. Why you can't hear me? Okay. I don't know why you can't hear me. But if you head on over to the YouTube at Monologue Magad, MONOLOGMAGAD, you should be able to hear and see everything. I don't know why my Instagram is tripping. Okay, but well, if they can't hear me, then I'm gonna just take it off because there's no sense in just sitting there. Okay. So what I was saying, yeah. So that kind of behavior shows up when you're dating. Okay, there are going to be incidences that occur that is going to show you who his priority is. And as we always like to say, but don't always like to do, when a person shows you who they are, you have to believe them. Okay. Am I saying that girlfriend and wife is on the same level? Absolutely not. However, if I, as your girlfriend, call you and tell you that I need something from you, and you decide that it is more important to hang out with your homeboys than it is to come and help me, then I would be a fool to marry you and thinking that just because we got married that is going to change. That is not going to change at all. If a man puts his friends before you while y'all are dating, that is not going to change. That means he's not serious enough about you to make you his wife. Because if he saw you as a wife, then you would be the first priority. He's going to treat you like a wife before he makes you one. So if he's seeing you as his wife, you're the first priority now. His homeboys ain't that important. Don't get me wrong. Yes, they have their place in their time. But if I call you in need, then my need should come first. Ma'am, sis cousin, if he's not doing that while you're dating, he's not going to do it while you're married. He's not going to do it after you have a kid. In fact, there'll be times where he'll jeopardize you and your kid for the sake of his boys. When I was watching the think piece on YouTube, there was a lot of encouragement of feminization of men, of Black men in particular, because the argument is always that, oh, Black men don't get to show their emotions. Black men don't get to be whole people. And I'm not saying that's not true. Not a Black man. So I can't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and deny or confirm anything. But what I will say is that should be a wake-up call to us as women to change our behavior toward our men, to change how we treat them when they do come to us in times of emotional vulnerability. Like, we've already went through this toxic masculinity movement, which was supposedly to make men feel like they didn't have to bottle up their emotions anymore. But it seems like when we try to correct something, we go so far to the left that you're just right back in the same garbage that you were trying to get out of. It's like, you know, when people make changes in their lives and people say, oh, they did a 180 or a 360, you understand a 360 may be a full circle, but with a circle, you end up where you started. The 180 is the half circle. Now we can start off in another direction. But if I do a whole 360, I'm ending right back up where I started. And I feel like when we try to correct what we feel is toxic based on what we're taught these days, then we go so far to the left that we just totally mess everything up. And so when we call ourselves trying to correct toxic masculinity, now you're in this place where it's okay to be homosexual. Like, men who were, and this is what y'all gotta understand, men are like the lighthouse. Men are that last standard. They are that bastion of civilization. And we don't like to talk about this, but we always want to talk about how the men are supposed to lead the home and not giving them the credit they deserve for actually being the leaders of civilization. I'm not one for patriarchy bashing. In fact, I say bring back a patriarch, bring in a Black patriarchy. Let me say that, an Israelite patriarchy. Let me say that. Patriarchy does not mean misogyny. Patriarchy just means a government where men rule, or a community, a system, or whatever, where men are in charge. It does not include misogyny. It does not include abuse. But again, you know, the people who claim that they're coming to correct things try so hard to correct them that now everything is all jumbled, and men have been the last standard. It's like the last, I don't want to say the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like the last line of defense. Actually, they're our first line of defense, but I'm saying last line of defense because it seems that the detriment of society has trickled. Well, I guess you could say it trickled down. We're all messed up, okay? We're all messed up. And so what I'm saying by men being like the last bastions, they're supposed to be the standard setters. Okay? Adam was made first. Okay? When the Most High was looking for a person to start a nation of people, he didn't go and get Abraham's sister. He went and got Abraham. He's not the father of Sarah and Mary and Martha. He's the father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for a reason. And listen, it is a two-way street. But if one person does not start cleaning up their street, then nothing's ever going to change. Both of our houses could be dirty, but the person who starts cleaning it up first is going to get to a much faster result. And so, ma'am, sis, cousin, let's look at the way that we're talking to our men. Like, are we pushing our men away? Do we have a soft and gentle answer for them? You know, we love to talk about a cantankerous woman when it comes to married couples, but even just the way you treat the other men in your life, your cousins, your uncles, your friend, your brother. Are you a good representation of an Israelite woman, of a Black woman, whatever you claim to be? Are you being a good representation of that for the men in your life? Does your son look at you and feel love? Does he feel openness? Can your children come up and openly receive affection from you? And why does that stop at a certain age with our boys? That's what we have to focus on. As much as we in 2024 like to feel like, oh, we can make the rules because, hey, you can get up and decide your gender that day. You can get up and decide, you know, who you are, who you're going to be, what you're going to do. You have all these freedoms supposedly. But what you don't realize is that you don't have the freedom to reset the order in which the Most High created his creation. Like, it's not up to you to decide the order. You didn't make it. It's just like when you're eating your breakfast. Nobody tells you to eat your toast and then your eggs and then your sausage and then your grits. You eat them in the order you want to eat them because it's yours. You ordered this. You made this. It's yours to do with what you want. And so as soon as we understand and respect the Most High enough to give him that same sovereignty, that same power in our lives, then we realize it's not up to us. None of this is up to us. The fact that the man was called out and created first, that's not up to us. It's the way that things are. And being that we are blessed enough to partake in this thing called life, those are the rules that have to be established. It has occurred to me a while ago, as a person who enjoys history and period pieces, that the reason why the nobility of past times was so strict on the order of things was because you cannot keep a system going if you let the order break down. Have you ever seen a group of doctors? They all address each other as doctor. I don't know how many of you have maybe been a patient or you've worked in a medical setting and you've been able to, you know, just witness conversation among medical professionals or professionals of, you know, that level. Once they get to a certain level, they all address each other with the same titles: doctor, doctor, attorney, attorney, your honor, your honor. Why? To maintain the order. Because what I let happen to one of me can let happen to all of me. So if I decide to disrespect this doctor by not calling him doctor when he's earned the same degree that I earned, what's to stop the next person from deciding that they don't have to call me doctor either? If the king allows one person to disrespect him, what's to stop the whole kingdom from breaking out in rebellion because now everyone feels like it's cool to disrespect the king? Decency and order need to be a standard in order to maintain any standards of living. You get up in the morning and you take your shower and you put on your clothes and you make yourself smell good. That is your standard of living. If one day you decided, the showers are not so important, your standard of living has decreased and it will continue to decrease until there are flies swarming around you and no one wants to be around you. So I'm saying all this to say, ma'am, sis, cousin, it is up to us to reestablish the order. I'm not saying as a whole, I'm not saying for our nation, but what I'm saying is for the part that we can do, we have a responsibility to do that. If you're raising sons, you have a responsibility to raise them to respect women. But you have a responsibility to be a respectable woman for them to respect. You have to set that example for the kind of woman you want your son to bring to you, the kind of woman you want your son to respect. If you're walking around talking all crazy to his father, not being cooperative, always got some back talk, always want to give dad a hard time, and then you wonder why he bring home some rebellious hoochie Jezebel. Well, ma'am, sis, cousin, what example have you been setting this whole time? We always like to talk about, oh, the effect of the father, the effect of the father. What about the effect of the mother? Just like the father is the little girl's first love, what do you think you are as a mom? Do you think that you're not that little boy's first love? My sons love me. They hug me all the time. They always tell me that I'm the best mom ever. I mean, they're just so full of love and they just so freely give it to me. And so now what do you do with that love? Do you like condemn it and send it back to them? Do you reject it and therefore you're making your child feel rejected this whole time? A child that craves attention will run to anything that will give it attention. A child that craves affection will run to anything that will give it affection. And a lot of times, even if some of us older people are honest with ourselves, this is how we find ourselves in terrible situations. One thing that I knew, and this is not a bash on my mom or anything like that, because I've had to come to the understanding that everyone does the best that they can do at any moment in time, okay? And so, yeah, I spent a lot of my life looking for the love I felt like that I didn't receive. So I know firsthand how this can be, especially for girls. I don't want my sons out here emotionally bankrupt, acting like psychopaths. So I'm going to, along with their dad, enforce we're going to enforce a healthy level of emotional expression. We're going to enforce a healthy level of emotional being and not have them walking around with this idea that their friends are the only ones that they can talk to and women aren't no good. And, you know, what's the common saying like, oh, you can't open up to a black woman. You can't trust a black woman. I'm purposely going to be the opposite of that so that they can see like, no, oh no, there are women out here who will love me, who will care for me. This is the kind of woman I need to be looking for when it's my turn. Okay, so yes, let's be on the lookout. Those of us who are dating and still picking and choosing, I definitely want y'all to be on the lookout for the homosexual and his friends. Okay, and those of us who are raising sons, raising future husbands and future fathers, let's start doing what we can so that our sons are not morally bankrupt, emotionally void, okay, and leading into all this other behavior. Like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live here at the House of Mono. All right, y'all, let's get to our main topic. The main topic. My husband should be home any minute now. Well, not any minute, but I'll be missing him when he's gone. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So for our main topic, his piece or just the piece. And again, this came from a post I made a while ago, just saying, hey, are there any topics you'd like, me to talk about? And I got a few answers on, I got answers on Facebook and Threads. Okay. So one of the topics that I got from Facebook was hold on, I know it's about being something about being his piece, but let me pull it up. Okay, here we go. All right. Wives who are not their husband's piece. Okay. And so the follow-up comment, because I was like, well, what specifically? After a day of dealing with the world, he has to prepare himself for the fight at home with a high maintenance wife. All right, so let's get into that. And as we do, let's define things, okay? Because I think high maintenance is one of those things where everybody can have a different definition of high maintenance, and then it can apply to different areas. You understand? Like usually when you hear high maintenance, you think materialistic. She's got a lot of stuff, she always needs money, she wants to go shopping, products and clothes everywhere. This is what we usually think when we think of high maintenance, okay? But there can also be other ways you can be high maintenance. You can be emotionally high maintenance, where you just constantly need a lot of attention, you're constantly needing a lot of affection. Enough is never enough for you. Okay. And I believe that in this case, this is the kind of high maintenance that he's talking about. Although I guess it could be the other one as well. It could be the other one as well. But let's go. We're going to get into both of them. We're going to get into both of them because they both cause problems in a relationship. All right. And I don't know how many of y'all, I've had the pleasure of working as a single mother for about 15 years of my life. Okay. I was working and being a single mom. Okay. That experience has given me a great appreciation for my husband and all that he does. Okay. I have also had other experiences in my life that caused me to appreciate my husband, how he treats me, all his hard work, even the more. Right? And vice versa. My husband has had experiences in his life that make him appreciate me perhaps more than he would if he had not experienced those things. Okay? And sometimes I feel like, especially as women, we go into these relationships with these preconceived notions of how the relationship is going to be. And unfortunately, these notions do not often come from realistic sources. More likely than not, we are getting our ideas of how relationships should be from social media, from TV, from movies, and from observing other unhealthy relationships in front of us. Because let's be honest, how many of us have a healthy relationship to observe? How many of you can honestly say, oh yes, I look to this married couple? And I'm not, I'm not saying that nobody should be able to say that, but the number of people that can say that is really sad. And if we take a look at that, then I think that will lead us down the path to why we have so many broken homes, et cetera, et cetera. When you lack empathy for a person, it's easy to continue to put demands on that person because you do not put yourself in their shoes. You cannot comprehend what it takes to keep up with the things that you want. When a person comes home let's deal with this, when he comes home from work piece. As a person who's had to work a job, when I came home from work, I know what I wanted. I know when I walked in the house, I wish it would have been clean. I wish the food would have been cooked. I wish the kids would have been taken care of. Like, I wish I could have just came home from work and sat down for a few minutes before I had to start going into something else. Okay. And I don't know why we as women seem to think that our men don't have the same wants. And what we've got to stop doing is we've got to stop blaming this, we've got to stop blaming men because a group of women decided that taking care of a man was oppressive. And I say that because we'll look at we'll look at shows like Leave It to Beaver and Bewitched and the Brady Bunch, where the man came home and took off his shoes and a woman was waiting on him hand and foot. We'll look at that as examples of, oh, we don't want to do that. Look how bad he's treating her. You know, look how oppressed she is. How oppressed is she? Let's go back and think about that. How oppressed are you? Let's take myself. Okay, I'll take myself for example. Oppression is the last thing that I am thinking of when I think of my lifestyle. Okay, I wake up when I want to, and right now my time to wake up is centered around educating my children. So yeah, sure, I wake up earlier than I would like to, but I made a choice to educate my children myself. That's a choice I made. Nobody's making me do it. I'm not being forced to do it. I wanted to have a great hand in educating my children. So that's when I wake up. And then when I wake up, I take my sweet time. I can have a slow morning every morning. Nobody's telling me, oh, I got to be somewhere in an hour and a half. So I got to wake up and rush myself through the bathroom. I don't have to do that. I get up and take my sweet time and stay in the bathroom as long as I want to and be in the shower for an hour. My husband be complaining all the time. But this is just what I do. And then I go and then I handle my business. And then guess what? When I'm finished with that, I don't have to go to somebody and be like, is there anything else for me to do? No, I'm going about my business. I'm not saying I don't have work to do. Yes, I have responsibilities here in my home, but no one is micromanaging me. No one is dictating to me when I can and cannot use the bathroom, when I can and cannot take a break, when I can and cannot eat. I'm not dealing with any of that. The oppression was having to wake up at 5 before the sun was up, okay? Before the sun is up, having to wake up, rush through the bathroom, try to find something to scarf down. Even if I had the chance, there's somebody waiting for me telling me, oh, you got to be somewhere at such and such a time, and dictating every moment of my day until I clock out in the afternoon. That is oppression. And while I understand some of us may have to submit to oppression to make a living, in the case of this comparison, having to go to work is definitely the oppression. And so, if you're fortunate enough to have a man who has freed you from that oppression, why would you not turn around and try to make that man's life as comfortable as he can possibly be? I'm not saying I'm standing at the door waiting with my husband's slippers and his cigar, mainly because he don't wear slippers or a cigar, and also because he works here. So he works at home, you know, so it's not like I'm sitting there I'm waiting for him to come upstairs after a long day of work. And yes, my husband did all of that when I worked. At the beginning of our marriage, before we had Paxton, I worked full time. And when I came home, I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to clean. The kids had did their homework. Like, that is one thing I must say about that man. Okay. And so if you have someone that's taking you out of that cycle and is giving you a different life, hopefully it's a life that you wanted. I wanted to be a housewife. I wanted to be home with my kids. Like, these are the things that I wanted to do. So if I have this man who's now saying, okay, listen, I'll take care of this other part. You do the thing that you say you want to do. What kind of fool would I be to not make sure that his home is to the standard that he wants it as much as I possibly can? And I'm not saying you have to be Superwoman. There are some days that everything doesn't get done. I need to mop my kitchen floor right now. Okay. There's some days that everything just cannot get done. I'm only one person. But there's a difference between things not being done and just gross negligence. There's a difference between, okay, we've been running around this week, so I didn't get a chance to dust, and I'm just not going to clean up. You just walking around in the dirt and you don't do nothing about it. Especially these days when it seems to be a trend to display just how filthy your home can be and then blame it on depression. It seems to be a trend to display just how nappy and matted and dirty you can get your hair to be and then blame it on depression. And what I can't figure out for the life of me is the men that are living with these women. I don't know how you expect anyone to function in dirt and filth. No one can function in dirt and filth. It's just literally impossible. The air can't move in the room in dirt and filth. Have you ever been in a junky room where there's just stuff all over the place? And then you clean the room up and now, oh, there's a breeze coming through. It feels good in here. I can relax in here. Why wouldn't you want to provide that same environment for the man who is out here providing or helping providing for you? Because just because you're not a housewife does not mean that you don't still have wifely responsibilities. And it does not mean that you are not responsible for some things in that home. Now, again, like I said, when I was working full time, my husband was not working full time at that time. He was independently employed as he's been since I've known him. Okay, so, but if you both are going to work full time, if you both are going to work full time, then you both need to come up with the understanding about how the household responsibilities are going to be ran. That's just it. I'm not going to sit up here and say that, oh, we're both working full time and still everything is the woman's responsibility. That's not right. That's not fair. That is oppressive. Making a woman work 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day and then come home and expect her to do everything. That's oppressive. Okay. But if you got a man who's willing to cooperate with you, all right, you handle the dishes, I'll handle the homework, you cook, I clean, I'll do this, you do that. If you have that going on, you are tremendously blessed. And I don't understand why you would not work your role to the best of your ability, especially when you have someone working with you. We love to sit up here and we'll magnify the deadbeat dads and the runaway husbands and there's this group of women now who love to call themselves married single moms because, oh, all my husband does is work and he doesn't come home and do anything. If you have a man that's cooperating with you in whatever balance you guys have worked out, why do you not feel it's your obligation to make that man as happy as you possibly can? And hear what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to be really careful with my words here because I understand that everybody isn't at the same place. All right. I am encouraged to go the extra mile for my husband because he goes the extra mile for me. That encourages me. Those days when I might be tired, when I might not want to be bothered, when things just be getting on my nerves, I'm quickly reminded of how this man stops at nothing to make sure that me and his children are provided for. Or even when it comes down to the things that I want, he will totally go out of his way to run to the taco truck, to run to the taco truck and bring me back some tacos because he knows that's what I like. He knows this is what makes me happy. Why wouldn't I? Like, what kind of monster would I be to not want to, in turn, make sure he's just as happy? why would I not want to provide the peace and stability for him that he provides for me? Okay. Facts. Only lame niggas think his woman work the same amount as him, but he wants her to come home and handle all the cooking and all the cleaning and all the kids and still want all the freaking nasty. And then that's the other thing. So you want me to get up and function all day and then you still want me to do things in the bedroom? But anyway, with all this, and listen, nobody's perfect, okay? Let me say that. Nobody's perfect and relationships need to grow. I'm talking to you as someone who's been married for 10 plus years. Okay, we've been doing this thing with me being a stay-at-home mom. I've been a stay-at-home mom for like 9 years now. Paxton just turned 9. So I just like made my 9-year anniversary of being a stay-at-home mom. Because we had Paxton. I never went back to work after we had him. Okay, so I've been a stay-at-home mom for 9 years. So I'm not saying that, you know, first year in, you're going to have all these principles down and you're going to understand that. And then it takes time to get to know each other. Like, listen, it took time for me to realize that my husband is not going to chit-chat with me like one of my homegirls. It took time, and I just had to accept that. He's not that kind of man. I'm not saying we don't talk. I'm not saying we don't communicate, but I can't just go to my husband when I want to vent and talk to him, especially not while he's working. And then, okay, it's not that I can't go vent. Let me fix it. It's not that I can't go vent, okay? But as women, when we go to vent, we're just looking for conversation. I just want to talk this thing out, and I just want to express how I feel, and I want somebody to hear me. When you go to a man, I mean, I can't speak for all men, but the majority of men that I have ran into, when you go to a man, you're not going to get a conversation. You're going to get a solution. Okay, if you go to your man and you be like, so-and-so, get on my nerves. I can't stand when she do X, Y, and Z. He gonna be like, well, leave her alone then. Like, just leave her alone. Clearly, y'all don't need to be around each other. And instead of going back and forth with you, well, did you try this? Did you try that? I don't know, girl. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. A man is not doing all that with you. He's just gonna be like, listen, leave him alone then. And it used to hurt my feelings because I'd be like, well, why you don't want to listen to me? Right? It took me a while to just accept that about him. That's not what he do. That's not who he is. And that's okay. Once you learn to accept these things about your husband, then you can move and adjust. Okay. I am a gift giver because I like to receive gifts. So I like to give gifts. And when we first got married, when I could, I would buy my husband things and I would expect a reaction like I would give. Like when he buys me stuff, oh, I'm all happy and yay, thank you, honey. I love it. Da, 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 da. I'm taking pictures. And when I get his something, it's like, oh, that's dope. Thanks. Oh, that's dope. Thanks. Like, that's all you got? After I done spent my money, oh, that's dope. Thanks. I had to learn to accept it. It's not the same okay, yeah, it's not the same reaction. That's just because that's not who he is. That does not mean that he loves me any less. And it does not mean that because he doesn't react the way that I want him to, that now I get to discredit him. Now it's time for our argument. Now, you know what I'm saying? Now everything has to fall to crap because he's not doing exactly what I want him to do. And I feel like that is a lot of the reason why a lot of women have trouble being at peace in their home. You want your man to behave the way that you have expected him to behave, whether you've been taught that, whether you've seen that, wherever you got these expectations of behavior from, you're mad that your man is not doing what you think he should be doing. And therefore, if I'm not happy, ain't nobody gonna be happy. And now you're living in disarray and you wonder why he don't hardly want to come home, and when he do, he don't want to be bothered with you. Let me tell you something that any person needs to be at peace. I know people always say this about a man, and maybe because it's generally directed toward women, but even me as a woman, I can't be at peace in a dirty house. I cannot. I can't. We will stop everything and get this clean. Because I can't be at peace. I can't think. I can't function. When you walk into chaos, it just breeds more chaos in your mind. And I'm going to say this, and I've said this before. Some of y'all out there have to go through bad things in order to appreciate the good things. Like, I'm totally convinced, because I know myself and because I can be open and honest with myself, I'm totally convinced that old me would not have appreciated my husband had I not been through some of the things that I have been through. And I feel like that's why a lot of y'all have problems with your relationships, because you take that person for granted. You take the goodness that they bring for granted. You, for some reason, feel entitled, especially once you've gotten married. It's like, oh, he mine now. He ain't going nowhere. Now I can do whatever I want to do now. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. The furthest thing from the truth. Yes, I can't think at all unless the house, at all. Like, I could be in my bedroom. If I know the kitchen dirty, that's going to haunt me. And now, listen, let me say this before my husband air me out, okay? My kitchen not clean every time I go to bed at night. It's not. I'm not going to sit up here and, I don't want to say it's a toxic habit. That's not true. But, I don't want to sit up here and sell y'all no images of old time perfection. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. Listen, I'm not saying that my house is always neat and clean. No, guess what? I help run businesses around here. Yes, my primary job is housewife, educator, cleaner, and all that good stuff. But the past like 3-4 days, I've been working. I've been helping out. So guess what? Them dishes don't get clean till the morning, but they get clean. And here's what I'm saying. A lot of social media will be like, oh, leave the laundry and leave the dishes. It's more important to spend time with your kids. Yes, but it's also important to get that house clean. It's also important to keep your man happy. Like, we can't feel like because we had kids, all of a sudden now our man has to take a back burner, because guess what's going to happen? In fact, it's happening to me right now. My daughters are in their 20s. They're going off to college. Guess who they don't have time for anymore? Moi. They don't have no time for me at all. They got their own, and that's the way it should be. That is the natural order and occurrence of things. Your kids grow up, they get their own life, they have their own social life. That's the way it's supposed to happen. But now, if I put my kids on the forefront and make my husband play the back, first of all, how long you think he's going to stay back there peacefully? And secondly, if he does, how long you think before he back there playing around? Your husband cannot be at peace if anything in your life comes before him besides the Most High. He can't. I know I couldn't. Like, if I felt like anybody else came before me with my husband, no, that couldn't work. That could not work. Especially when, and listen, I can't talk to y'all about a bad husband. I can't talk to y'all about a bad husband. Because I don't live that life. I don't live that life. I will say that you are still obligated to your duties as a wife, especially if you say you're a Bible believing Israelite woman. You cannot claim to be a law keeping, law abiding Israelite woman and you do not respect your husband. Hello, Chanel, shalom and shalom, sis. Thank you for joining me. You see, I got the necklace on I got from you. It's so cute. I love this. My husband is great. Exactly. So I can't relate to having a bad husband. Okay. But I will tell you that you are still obligated to regard him as the priest of your home and the head of your household. Even if you think, or even if it's obvious to everyone else that he's a bad husband, may I remind you, ma'am, sis cousin, you chose him. This isn't the day of shotgun weddings where he got you pregnant and then he was forced to marry you. That's not the case anymore. And that can't be our excuse for why we feel like we get to treat our men like crap. You're not going to get righteousness if you continue to keep sinning. And if you are the one who feels like the righteousness needs to be brought to your household, well then, ma'am, sis cousin, it is your job to take that on. Period. It's your job to take that on. If I pull up to the barbecue and I know they need water, I'm not just going to stand around and not go get no water. I'm going to go get water so we don't all die of thirst out here. We need groceries. Let's go get some groceries so that we're not all starving out here. But if no one wants to make the first move and stop worrying so much about what the other person is doing, even when it comes to your spouse, your excuse can't always be, well, he don't do this and he don't do that and he don't make me feel like this. And what are you doing, boo-boo? Because it's just like a team project, okay? And if the team projects were fair, okay, I'm gonna say this. If the team projects were fair, then each person's work would be counted individually, right? Like person A would get their grade for their work, and person B would get their grade for their work, and person C would get their grade for their work. But unfortunately, in most cases, because the objective is to teach us to work together, group projects are based on how we all did together. How did we all manage to cooperate to build this project? That is how you grade a group project. When someone looks at your family, they don't just look at you all as individuals. They are grading you all as a group. When people look at me and whether they have something good to say, or whether they have something bad to say, that is a reflection on my husband. So, ma'am, sis cousin, if you realize that there is something missing from your group project, that would be very stupid of you to let that thing go missing and allow you all to fail when you could have been the one to prevent it. And also by preventing your failure, you are allowing opportunities for growth. You don't know. Sometimes your submission to righteousness could be the crutch that your husband needs to propel your family to the next level. But because you refuse to give him that respect, because you refuse to regard the Most High as you should, and you cannot say that you regard the Most High as you should when you do not regard your husband as you should, because you are to submit to your husband as unto the Lord. That is in the Bible. And so if you're not doing these things, when you're sitting around 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, and your family is still in the same spot, you have no one to blame but yourself. Please stop talking about, oh, but he's supposed to be the head, but you knew better. You knew better. Yes, he's the head, but he's not the entire body. This is what y'all got to stop acting like the man is supposed to just do every single freaking thing. And he should just be happy that you're here with that slit between your legs. I wouldn't be with you either. I would be trying to run out every opportunity I can get to. I'm listen, I'm going to go somewhere where I'm going to find peace. And I'm not condoning adultery at any hand. Please understand what I'm saying. I'm speaking hypothetically, rhetorically. Like, understand what I'm saying. Don't nobody want to be around your miserable behind. The fact is, you don't like your miserable behind. You don't. You don't want to be around you, and you drive other people away from being around you. Your own kids don't even like you. Because it's always some ruckus. It's always fussing. Nothing can't never just be. You always got to have a problem. Something's going to be wrong no matter what. I say this about my mom, and she's gotten better. She's gotten better, but she gonna find something wrong. She gonna find something wrong. I went over there, this was a few weeks ago, and I think I was like dressed, fairly decently or whatever. But one thing was wrong. I don't remember some of my hair or my shoes. One thing was wrong, and she pointed it out. And I was like, dang, you're going to find a problem, ain't you? Like, I finally had to say it because she did this to me all the time. She would come to my house and everything could be fine, but she going to find that one thing wrong. How do you expect people to want to be around you in those circumstances? Like, all praises, she don't do that no more. But how do you expect people to want to be around you under those circumstances, especially when you're talking about a grown man? You're not talking about a kid. Your kid is going to feel more of an obligation to you because that's your kid. But you expect this grown man to put up with your foolishness? Why? And then be happy and come home with a smile on his face, and you want him to bring you flowers? Why? You're not acting gentle like you deserve flowers. You're not acting feminine as if you want flowers. Every time he come home, he got to choose between you and the bear. And he'd probably rather be in the woods fighting the bear. It's better to live in the corner of a roof than to dwell with the cantankerous woman. He would choose the bear. He would choose the bear. You know how you're going to be when you are dating someone. You already know, ma'am, sis, cousin, before you marry this man, if your heart is into it, if it's something you really want to do. Ma'am, sis, cousin, stop feeling like you have to get married just to say that you are married. Stop feeling like, I have some obligation to get married right now. And you know it's the wrong person. You know good and well you and him shouldn't be together. And listen, I know there are people who can tell you a story about, yes, it didn't work out when we got married, but we worked through it and da-da-da-da-da. And that's cool for them. But why set yourself up to have a harder time than you need to have? Because marriage is hard by itself. And here's what we as women don't understand. Marriage requires a lot of getting out of the way on our part. That's the way I'm going to say it, getting out of the way. And I say getting out of the way because we as women tend to react quickly and emotionally. Okay, our feelings are hurt, we're going to start crying. You make me mad, we're going to start yelling. I start to feel neglected, I'm blowing up your phone. Like, we will react quickly and emotionally. Whereas I have learned that if we sometimes hold on to our reactions from the things that happen to us, or maybe something our husband says or something our husband does, if we hold on to that reaction and wait, a lot of times the situation works itself out. Your husband will come to his senses. That's the other thing. Y'all don't allow the Most High any time to deal with your husband. You feel like you gonna deal with him better than the Most High can. And why am I saying that? The way y'all fuss, the way y'all cuss, the way y'all be airing them out on social media, the way you walk around in full rebellion, the way you walking around here sleeping and creeping with other men, the way you got other men in your text messages, the way your DMs is blown up, the way your inbox is inappropriate. All of that. You're not ready for a husband. You don't deserve a husband. You don't know how to respect a husband. And so Mams's cousin acknowledged that and just sit out this round. Sit out this round. All you're doing is setting yourself up for deeper heartache. I tell my kids all the time, it's easier to break up than it is to get a divorce. And it's even easier to break up if you haven't had sex than it is if you have had sex. Yes, the man is the head, but again, he is not the entire body. The head needs the body to support it. If you're supposed to be the neck, and you're supposed to tell the head which way to turn, what does that look like in your marriage? How are you turning your husband's head? Do you keep redirecting it towards you? And I'm saying that in a bad way because it can be in a good way. But are you directing it towards you in anger? Let me say that. Is it anger and frustration that you keep getting his attention with? When he talks about you to other people, is there a smile on his face? Do people come to you and tell you how wonderfully your husband speaks of you when you're not around? How highly your husband speaks of you when you're not around? Or no? Or are they surprised when he even introduces you as his wife? Are they like, oh, you got a wife? Who knew? Just like you have feelings, your husband has feelings too. Okay? The things that are important to you, I don't understand why you don't feel like your husband's things have the same importance. Okay? I'm trying to think of something to illustrate my example, but you know, there are times when I just don't want to do things that my husband wants to do. Like, okay. For the most part, when we're watching TV, my husband lets me pick. For the most part, I mean, like 98% of the time, I got the remote. I'm picking what's on TV. Every now and then, he'll come upstairs and be like, "Hey, can I watch the game?" Okay. Okay. And then I turn right to the game. I've been up here watching TV this whole time. I know, first of all, I know he's going to get in the bed and be to sleep in about 30 minutes to an hour. And then I can go back to whatever I'm watching. But the fact of the matter is, this man's out here working, busting his behind every day. And he just asked to come and watch this game. I know how I feel about my TV shows. Y'all know I like TV. That's my thing, right? So I know how I feel about something I want to watch on television. Why wouldn't I feel like he deserves that same amount of enjoyment? I know how I feel about things that are sentimental and important to me. So why doesn't he have a right to have those same sentimental and important things? My sentimental things are things. It's like old onesies that the kids wore as babies. Like I kept a couple of their baby blankets. I have a couple of their projects from when they were in preschool and kindergarten. Like these are things that are important to me. My husband's sentimental things are pictures. Like he has a box of pictures of everybody. That's important to him. His box of pictures is no less important than my collection of baby blankets and onesies. It's no less important. And he and the things that are important to him deserve as much respect as I want from me and the things that are important to me. We've gotten so far from trying to, again, for some reason, cure what was described as toxic masculinity that we have just about overran masculinity. It's to the point where it's a bad word now. Masculinity is a bad word when it's applied to Black men, but when it's applied to Black women, it's not. When you start talking about women who present as masculine or women who are masculine and dominate, oh, that's a good thing. She's a strong woman. Look at her. Oh my gosh, you go, girl. Very demure, very cutesy. And it's the total opposite. This is the total opposite of what should be going on. Everything being turned to the opposite is chaos. I don't know if you all have realized this. The destruction of order is chaos. You remember how the earth was dark and void and without form? It's chaos because nothing is nothing anymore. If I had hot water, if I took some cold water and I mixed it with hot water, now you have warm water. This water is neither hot nor cold. So if I'm thirsty and I want cold water, ew, that's nasty. But if I need hot water for tea, it's useless. When you take order and form out of things, they become useless. Just like a woman who thinks she's a man. Well, she's useless because she's not walking in her purpose of carrying and bringing forth life. Just like with a man who thinks he's a woman, he's now useless because he now refuses to deposit that seed of life in the place that it needs to go to create another life. Not only that, he has left all of the other responsibilities that masculinity calls him to. He's not going to walk in that anymore because now he's too busy with his nails long and his hair done and carrying purses and wearing lip gloss. So now when we catch a flat tire on the side of the road, we both just sitting there looking at each other like, girl, what we gonna do? You're useless as a man. Somebody breaking the house, you hiding behind me screaming, like we both in the corner crying. You're useless as a man. When a man goes to a woman, he wants a soft and nurturing creature. He wants to be able to lay up on you and I can only tell you this because this is what my husband does to me. But he wants to lay up on you and feel some femininity. He wants to feel some curves and some softness. Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of tummy, a whole lot of booty, some thighs for him to grab on. That's what he's looking for. He's not coming to you looking for a six-pack to lay his head against. My man don't. I know some men do. My man don't want that. He wants some femininity. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being in shape, but what I'm not about to do is be walking around here looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 90s. That's what I'm not doing. And a lot of y'all don't realize that, you know, even though you may say or you may feel like when you get in front of your husband, your behavior is feminine and demure, I hate to tell you that your spirit speaks louder than your actions. And so if it's not really in your heart, if it's not really in your intent to be submissive and cooperative, that is going to come out in your actions. And so while you may think that your husband asked you to get him a cup of ice water and you was like, okay, honey, you really was like, all right. And I could not understand this at first. My husband used to tell me all the time, you don't respect me. You don't respect me. I'm like, what you mean I don't respect you? Like, I'm not running around. I don't cuss at you. You know, I try not to talk to you crazy in front of people. What do you mean I don't respect you? It was about my overall attitude toward him and his role as my husband. Now, I look, I don't know about some of y'all. Okay, boo, I see you. I don't know about some of y'all. Okay. I don't know about how some of y'all men feel about the totality of you. And what I mean by the totality of you is knowing that you love that man, you're dedicated to that man, like everything about you is about this man. And I know that might sound weird, especially in a world where women are often accused of being pick-me's and being male-centered. But ma'am, sis cousin, I try to, as best as I can, give my husband the treatment that I want him to give me. And yes, sir, I need everything about you to be about me. And therefore, everything about me is going to be about you. I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to choose you. I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to look for ways that I can make you happy. And when my prayers are going to be to make me the wife that you need, to make me a good wife, to make me a great partner, everything in my being is going to be concerned with you, because in order to please the Most High, I have to be concerned with pleasing my husband. I don't know why we have been led into this witchcraft that lets us believe that we could just have a male body sitting in our house and not letting him be useful. Why are you trying to stunt his growth? What about him threatens you so much to the point where you feel like you got to keep him in the shadows? Why do he got to play the back to you? He's the husband. He's supposed to go out and lead. Don't get it twisted. Just because y'all see me here every week, please understand. My husband is very much in charge here. Let me say something crazy. He coming in here and unplugging all this ish, and y'all might not see me. Who knows? You're not meant to be out here by yourself. And I feel like that's why a lot of y'all are unhappy and miserable. Yeah, you got a man at home, but you still unhappy and you still miserable because you decided that your marriage is going to look the way that you want it to look, and how he wants it to look is not important to you. But here's what you have to understand. Just like you grew up with images of a marriage, your imaginations of your wedding, how many kids you was going to have, how your life was going to be, your husband grew up with those same ideals. This is what contributes to the toxic masculinity and the homey sexuality that we was talking about. Not understanding that these men have the same ideas and imaginations. They grew up, picturing their wife, and they knew what they wanted their wife to look like and how many kids they was going to have. It like they had the same thing. Little boys have things that they want to do when they grow up, just like little girls do. But for some reason, we as women have been tricked into thinking that us getting married is all about us. When the fact of the matter is, when you get married, that man is basically recruiting you to his team and saying, hey, work with me and let's build something. But y'all don't see it like that. Y'all see it as, oh, he's marrying me because I'm the star of the show and he's going to take care of me and it's going to be all about me, and everything I want. And no. Would you want someone to treat you like that? Would you want your husband to marry you and then forget about you and put you on a back burner and treat you like he's the star of the show and you're just the NPC? He's the star of the show and you're the extra? Because that's how some of y'all treat your husbands. Like he's just an extra. Like he's just a prop. Like he's just there to pull out when you need some money or a male escort somewhere, because y'all don't be bothered with them no other time. You don't want to make plans with your husband. You don't want to hang out with your husband. Your husband's not even your friend anymore. Y'all can barely stand each other. You live more like roommates. And if you would sit down and be honest with yourself, and I think this is why a lot of us avoid our emotions. This is why you have things like emotional eating, alcoholism, drug addiction, because people cannot stand to sit in silence and face what is going on inside of them. And until you are willing to sit down and do that work, you never will make any changes. Again, if you don't accept responsibility for a thing, you can't do anything to change it. If I don't grab the steering wheel of my car, I can't determine the direction that I'm going in. It is the same thing with your life, literally. If you will not wake up and grab a hold of your life, you have no choice what direction you're going in. You're basically just floating with the wind, letting other people and other circumstances make your decisions for you. But here's what I'm saying to you, ma'am, sis, cousin, married or single, divorced, widowed, whatever your situation in life may be, you're not going to notice any improvement. You're not going to notice any growth until you are willing and able to sit down and deal with yourself as you are. And this is an ongoing process. I'm not saying like, oh, let me just take this 6 months and I'll never have to do this again. Absolutely not. There's a constant re-examining in life because every day you're getting up, you're making decisions. Every day you're getting up, you're making choices. Every day something is happening. Things happen beyond your control that may cause you to pivot some plans or whatever the case may be. But if your posture before the Most High is not one of constant submission, and you really out here thinking that you have the answers, as if you were there when he created the mountains, as if you were there when he separated the oceans from the land. Can you explain to me how the ocean knows to stop at the shore? Can you explain to me how he directs the lightning bolts from heaven? If you can't, then there's just certain things that you just can't question. Submit yourself. You're not in control of anything. You cannot even control if you breathe. I have no control over if I'm breathing the next second or not. How dare I take any posture but submission toward the Most High? Okay, and like y'all get triggered by this submission word. And this is another principle of reading, okay? Understanding that things have varying degrees and depths and definitions. Like Will Ferrell is funny and Cat Williams is funny. Are they the same type of funny? No. Sometimes I'm in the mood for Will Ferrell funny. Sometimes I'm in the mood for Cat Williams funny. Same thing with submission. Yes, you're supposed to submit to the Most High and your husband. Your submission to the Most High is total and all encompassing. It covers every area of your life, okay? He knows your thoughts before you think them. Yes, you are to submit to your husband, but your husband doesn't know everything. Like your husband don't know your thoughts before you think them. He is not in total control of you. Your submission to your husband should come as a secondary submission to the Most High. And I have no qualms about saying that because I'm very secure in the fact that if my husband's relationship with the Most High was not what it is, there's no way that our marriage could be what it is, because it is his respect and his love and his wanting to please the Most High that is going to keep him concrete with me. And now I'm not saying that I can't ever do anything wrong. I'm not saying that I can't ever mess up so bad that he won't leave me. That's what y'all got to understand. It's never about, oh, I can do whatever I want to do and he ain't going nowhere. Absolutely not. I know that as long as my heart is set to please the Most High and his heart is set to please the Most High, we got a pretty good chance of keeping this thing going, is what I'm saying. But if my heart as a woman is not set on pleasing the Most High, I believe your default setting then is to please yourself. Because if the Most High is not your God, you're going to choose something. You're going to have a God somewhere. That thing that you give all your time, attention, money, and thoughts to, that's your God. And sometimes it's yourself. Think about how much money you spend on yourself. Think about how much time you spend with yourself, especially in this day and time when we're just obsessed with self-care. And self-care is the priority now. We've made gods out of ourself and our self-care. You have a problem, you don't run to your knees, you run to the mall. Talk about retail therapy. No. That's how you end up in debt or on hoarders. I'm going through, I need to, I'm going to take myself away. And I'm not saying that that's not okay, but why isn't your first answer, let me pray about this? Let me see what the Most High has to say about this. Let me not move until I know what the Most High is doing and where he wants me to go. Listen, I don't even understand how y'all out here being wives without a prayer life. I'm going to just be honest with y'all. I can't figure it out. I can't. Marriage and children has made me pray like I have never prayed before. I don't know how some of y'all is out here doing it. I literally have to go to the Most High every day and talk to him about what's going on. And then I tell him, after I talk to him about it, all right, well, I gave it to you. Now, please tell me what you want me to do today. Because again, his burden is easy and his yoke is light. I'll take what you got for what I'm dealing with. Mainly because I can't do anything about what I'm dealing with. If I could, then I would have. And I can't control my circumstances. I can't control everything. I can't control anything. We went to move my daughter in to school last week. And after we left, we stopped by Subway, got us a sandwich. And I heard what sounded like a car crash. And I was like, oh, I must be tripping. Like, I must be tripping or whatever. Hey, Atticus. All right, let me finish telling y'all this story for Atticus come over here and disrupt us. I get busted. Oh, Paxton's awake too. Hey, Paxton. Atticus, you can't jump like that. Oh, I need to do your hair. Y'all don't pay no attention to my baby hair, please. All right, so let me finish telling the people this story real quick, okay? Okay. So we was leaving Subway, and I thought I heard what sounded like a car crash, right? And so I didn't even look around because I must be tripping. So we leave the parking lot, make the left, and as we get to the light, we saw the results of a car accident. And I was like, oh, dang, that is what I heard.
Oh, you got a car accident?
Yes. But as we were observing the car accident, because there were 3 cars involved, one of the cars was like facing the same direction as us, and we could see in there. And I could just, there was a lack of movement. Okay. There was a lack of movement. So I learned later on that the passenger, the wife, it was a husband and wife, that the wife didn't survive the accident. And it never fails to move me, sometimes to tears, at how precious and fragile life is. How 1 second can change everything. Do you think that if it wasn't in people's control that they would have been in that accident? Do you think if it was in their control that they would have even been at that spot at that time? We have control of nothing. This is why obedience is paramount. Obedience is the only thing that guarantees you to be able to go to the one who is in control of everything and possibly have your petition heard. It is only through obedience that we can do that. It is only through constant prayer and communication that we can do that. Think about it. If I haven't talked to you in a year and then I come to you when I'm in trouble, you're not going to even answer the phone. And I've had people do this to me. Don't talk to me all year, but then want to hook up. You ain't talked to me all year. What? No, hi, how you doing? None of that. And some of y'all will get slick because like I have a cousin who used to do this. Like she don't talk to you, but if she knows she's gonna need a babysitter like a week or 2 before, she'll hit you with the text, hey, how you doing, boo, and all this other stuff. And then, you know, she might call you and y'all talk on the phone, and then 2-3 days later, can you watch so-and-so for me? It's the setup. And some of y'all be trying to slick do the Most High like that. I don't know why. He knows what you're doing.
Wait, you have a cousin?
Yes, we have a lot of cousins. Okay, so I know we kind of got off the topic here. And I'm not going to say it's off the topic because at the end of the day, like I said, if your first priority is not pleasing the Most High, I don't see how your priority is going to be pleasing your husband. I just don't see it. Like you're just not going to be that invested in it because you don't feel like your soul is dependent upon it. I understand fully well that the destiny of my soul is dependent upon how good of a wife and mother I am. Okay, so let's get right with the Most High. Get that in order. Okay, then let's get right with our husbands, y'all, please. Like, don't ever be too proud to go and apologize. And, you may be feeling like, oh, well, I apologize, too much before. I don't want to keep apologizing. Okay, I get that. But then let's start changing our actions right now, today. Like, let there be a change in your behavior. Even if you don't want to go and apologize verbally, let there be a change in your behavior starting tonight. You know what I'm saying? You know what that man like. You know how to get him in a good mood, or go clean up that nasty behind bedroom. Go clean up the kitchen. Go clean up the bathroom real quick. Even if he sleep, go on and clean it up. So when he wake up, he can be like, oh, shoot, look at what she did. Well,
Thank you so much, guys, for watching, especially you, Auntie Angelina.
Oh, that's so sweet of
How much he crafts on the table.
Oh, hush. Well, that's nasty. We don't talk about that on the podcast, okay? All right. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me this evening. I hope something I said was helpful to you, whether you're listening live or on the replay. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live here at the House of Mono. See, that's what you get for drinking my water. Oh, Atticus. Paxton, do you need to go upstairs? I don't know what's wrong with this kid. He done turned 9 and just, I don't know what's going on. All right, you want to tell everybody about the businesses, Atticus?
Some theater parties, run down and get a bounty for your children.
You got to move your hands so the people can hear you. Say it again.
Some theater parties, run down and get a bounty for your children, and head on to
Monos. West Side
Bullies, and get you a shirt.
A shirt? No.
And get
Monos
you
West Side
a
Bullies.
puppy.
Right.
You
The
a
dogs and the
puppy,
puppies.
And then we have the shirts.
The print doctors.
The print doctors. Run down and get your own t-shirt.
Very
or pants
good.
or shorts or
Right, good. T-shirt, pants, shorts, and hats. We do it all. Very good. Oh, thank you, Atticus. Paxton, anything you want to say to the people?
and get your own hoodie.
And hoodies, yes. What, you don't want to say nothing? Bye. That's all you want to say? How y'all liking school, guys?
I like it like 70%. I'll give it
No one likes school.
I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
You give school a 7 out of 10? Okay, I guess that's not bad. Some people like school, Paxton.
I'm
most
excited
people, you
for
don't think?
science.
You're excited for science? That's what you like, science? You know, I like science too. I like science a lot.
Gonna invent me a robot that can take the trash out.
I wish I would invent a robot that could take the trash out. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I will invent that if I grow up to be a scientist.
You can invent that. So, okay, what did you learn today? If you build a robot, would that make you a scientist or an engineer?
Scientist.
No, think about it. You're
Engineer.
built right, because engineers what?
An engineer is a person that builds stuff.
Right, very good, Atticus. You rank school a 5 out of 10. Why? I want you to tell me the truth, whatever the truth is. You get school a 5 out of 10. Well, hopefully you'll start liking it better as we get into like learning more stuff. You'll start liking it better.
All I have is the homework.
Yeah, that's what school is. A lot of work. The things that you consider homework, you would be doing them at school during the day. Or they would just give it to you at the end of the day and make you do it all at home. So there's going to be work involved. But, okay, 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10. We'll take it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening.
I just want to say one thing before we go.
Mrs. Mono sips tea.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. Please join me again next week. Same black time, same black station. I'll be back with more Why Boaz Don't Want Your Ass. I will see you guys next week. You want to tell everybody good night? Shalom, shalom, and good night.
Mono. Living super clean. Daddy came
One time for my king doing king things. My beast hoes cause he know he got a good thing. I said,
tune in to Why Boaz Don't Want Your Ass with your host, Miss Mono.
Shalom and shalom, sisters and cousins, and praise the Lord saints. It's your favorite housewife, Miss Mono.
Every Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. live on YouTube at Miss Mono's World and Monologue Magad. Now also available on the Saya TV on Roku and Fire Stick. Why Boaz